The road trip from hell is finally over. Joe and I are going to talk about, unfortunately, this Philadelphia Phillies series and what went wrong for the Seattle Mariners. Let me tell you, there's a lot that went wrong. And then, you know what? Is it time to panic? Because the Mariners are on a pretty bad skid right now. I'm going to give you guys some reasons to maybe stay calm and maybe some reasons to be a little bit worried. Colt Fuchsia's say, if you will. And then we're going to do our FanDuel favorites before we talk about the Athletic series coming back home, finally, coming up on Friday. Thank you guys so much for watching episode 218 of the Hit It Here podcast, part of the Bleav Network and presented by FanDuel. And yeah, this was not a fun series, Joe.
Yeah, the bullpen management in the final game against Philadelphia was not something that either of us are very pleased about. And of course, it does kind of, the rippling effect of this series goes all the way back to the first game, where you only get 2 innings out of your opening day starter. You're supposed to be ace of the staff this season, Logan Gilbert. 2 innings, 9 hits, 6 earned, 1 strikeout. Just gives up the first home run at Citizens Bank Park to Trey Turner this season. Like, just not the start you needed coming off of back-to-back road series losses on this road trip. You didn't want to start, like 2 feet in the grave, it felt like. Both feet. You are basically digging you're covering yourself in dirt for this series. Burying yourself if you start off with 2 innings out of your best guy, theoretically. And that's exactly what happened.
It really burnt the bullpen for the rest of this series. And, Carlos Vargas comes in, throws 3 innings, only gives up 3 hits. Great job from Vargas. Then you turn the ball over to one Casey Legumina. And listen, he got through the first inning that he pitched, only gave up a run. The Mariners come back and score 4. And you feel like you're kind of within striking distance. And you're like, you know what? Let's run it back. And they send Legumina back out there. He gives up a 4 spot. And all of a sudden, the Phillies are ahead 12-4 at this point. The Mariners were able to claw back a little bit more in the 9th inning, scoring 3 runs. But unfortunately, they weren't able to get the job done. Mitch Garver hit a home run in this game, 2 hits as well. JP 2 for 4. Cole Young with a big 3-run home run in this one. Absolutely crushed that baseball, by the way. He is. I have really enjoyed watching Cole Young play the game of baseball this year. I don't know if you know the game, but Julio in this one 2 for 4. Cal 0 for 5. Rough game for Cal. Kind of a rough series for Cal, honestly. But yeah, more of that continued for the Mariners in game 2, where they brought it back in the 7th inning and they tied this game up at 4. You turn the ball over to Matt Brash, and unfortunately, he's just not able to get the job done versus JT Realmuto.
I was at work for this game, so I didn't really get a chance to take a look at it fully. So I don't know if it was Matt Brash missing a location, if it was just, he's not going to be perfect. And you had a good chance in this game with was it a game tying 2-run home run from Gino?
It was a double.
Oh, it was a double. Okay, it wasn't a home
2.
run. Got it. Okay, but yeah. So I saw that it was 2-4, and then I saw Gino, and then things happened at work where I couldn't look, and then it was tied. Bryce Miller making his season return. Hasn't pitched in a long time. 5 innings, 4 hits, 4 earned, 4 strikeouts. The velo was good for the most part. I think this is, with how good the Phillies team is, kind of where I expected him to be at, and that's not necessarily. Like, I'm not mad at this start from Bryce Miller. He turned in the best start of the 3 pitchers that went in this series, for the most part. You could argue maybe Castillo just because he gave up less earned runs, but he got 1 less inning. Miller, I think it was a nice, it's a bad position to be thrown into against a very good Phillies team in Citizens Bank, where, okay, let's see what you got. And I think there was glimmers of hope. There's a little bit of silver lining in this game for Bryce Miller, but the bullpen just giving away games again. Yes, Brash is, your second best arm, your leverage arm. He's not going to be perfect. And when you give up a lead late, to a team that acquired Joan Duran at the deadline. Like, what are you gonna do? You have to battle back yourself, and the Mariners unfortunately just could not do that in this one against Duran, who is one of the most electric relievers in all of baseball. Like, this was a game where, yeah, it's a gut punch loss because you do battle back, but this seemed like things are trending in the right direction. Like, the pitching matchups kind of like were like a bell curve. Like, you start with Ranger Suarez, yeah, good. Then you get to Christopher Sanchez, who's having a Cy Young-esque season. He probably won't win, but like, you know what I mean. Like, he's going to get quality votes. And then you get to Jesus Luzardo in the final on Wednesday, and you're coming down that curve a little bit where like the quality is not necessarily as high. Because I mean, the strikeouts in this series from the Mariners were just unbelievable,
Awful.
like horrendous. And is it the 3 lefties in a row? Is it the offense just scuffling and just like at the end of a road trip, exhausted? Like, they themselves just don't have something going for them, so like they're just immediately on the back foot. But man, you thought with how the team looked on Tuesday that Wednesday would be a more competitive game, and it was for like 6-ish innings, 7 innings. Offensively, maybe not super competitive, but the pitching kind of kept you in it. You didn't like get down a ton early. Yeah, the offense was just horrendous, striking out 12 times to the starter. Like, giving up 12 strikeouts to the starter in back-to-back games is bad. That's so a losing recipe from start to finish. But you were 2-3, down 1 run. Gino, a solo shot in the top of the 7th. Bring us within a 1-run game in the finale on Wednesday. Thinking maybe you could steal a game where, yes, you just got absolutely shoved in by Jesus Luzardo for 6 innings. Just bad. Julio, awesome golf swing. He's been at Top Golf recently.
Yeah.
Apparently, like, he's been out on the range, and that's awesome. Cool. You think maybe the game's going to start off on a good foot that way? No, because like Castillo just is going to continue to get hit around. A batting average against of over 300 in away starts. That didn't get better in this one. He only goes 4. Requiring the Mariners bullpen to have to cover many more innings than you probably want them or expect them to, or, you can't really afford to. And it does end up biting you again, where Dan Wilson has to pull a string and he just chooses the wrong one, it seems.
Yeah, game 2 was a game where against Sanchez, I was like, yeah, if you lose that one, I get it. Sanchez is a really good pitcher. They were able to battle back, especially after they got him out of the game, and I felt good about that. Going into this game, the Phillies gave the Mariners every single chance to take this one. They left like 100 runners on base. Luis Castillo worked out of some jams. He was fighting his command all day long. His velo was down. The fact that he only gave up 3 runs is a miracle, in my opinion. Bizzardo comes in, gets the job done. Caleb Ferguson comes in, gets the job done. Matt Brash comes in the 6th inning and shuts the door, kind of quiets a little bit of a rally. And then Gino comes in and scores a run for you with the home run. It's 3-2. Yeah. Okay. We're right there. Who do you turn the ball over to? But Taylor Saucedo. And I'm like, oh, well, Spire must be down in this game. And then, like, not even like a batter later, Gabe starts warming up. And I'm like, you had Spire available the whole time? Oh, but maybe we want to use him for the 8th inning. Care. I don't care what inning you're going to use Gabe Spire in. You use him. Use him for 2. I don't care. You have the day off the next day. I don't care. Use Gabe Spire for 2 innings if you have to. You cannot, in a competitive game like this, turn the ball over to a guy who, unfortunately, has been really bad for you this year. It was a terrible matchup, a terrible job by Dan Wilson, and there's no excuse for it. Siren Lau came in. This game was out of proportion anyway.
Yeah.
Didn't matter. Lau, inning in 2/3, gave up 3 earned. Who cares? Overall, I will say this Phillies team is a very good baseball team. They're good, plain and simple. They have very veteran hitters, guys who have been there, done that, with like Bryce Harper, Kyle Schwarber, Trey Turner. They're a very good team. That's a team that if the Mariners pitching staff was right, I think the Mariners could have at least taken 1 game of this series. If the starting rotation just pulled their heads out of their asses for a little bit. And unfortunately, they did not do that one, and it ends up leading to a sweep. at the hands of the Philadelphia Phillies.
My big thing for the tail end of this game on Wednesday is you don't want to overexert your pen and put guys in spots that they're not going to be successful in. Operating under the idea that you don't think Gabe Speier and Andres Munoz can cover 3 innings in a pretty much must-win type game to avoid getting swept, to maybe gain some ground on the team that also has been struggling simultaneously as you, with the Houston Astros also scuffling mightily. We've seen Munoz cover 5-out saves before. Sure, not this season. They haven't really done it this year. And is there a good reason behind that? Arm health, stamina, fatigue, etc. Just the overall health of Andres Munoz? Yes. More than likely, he is going to say that this is probably the healthiest he's felt. And some of the dizziness thing that he was talking about last time he went out there. I think requiring Gabe Speier to go an inning and a third, at a minimum, is not unrealistic in this scenario. And then turning the ball over to Andres Munoz for an inning and 2/3 at a maximum is also not unrealistic. And if the offense, ties the game or gives you a lead, of course they didn't, and, maybe you get a different look at the Phillies bullpen in this situation. Sure, the what-if game, I don't necessarily love playing that game all the time because we could sit here for hours on end and do that. But to give the ball to Taylor Saucedo was if he gets out of it, you just cooked. 4D chess. Awesome. You put on a masterclass of, I just, made the right call for the bullpen. If it doesn't work out, this is exactly what you get, where it just blows up in your face and there's nothing else you can do about it. There's no turning back from that 5-run spot. And it's just, that's the way you lose baseball games. And I don't know if it's Dan Wilson's his inexperience or the stubbornness to not go to leverage guys when they're losing. I mean, you use Brash as the fireman to put out to get through a bridge. Gabe Speier, yes, it's against the bottom of the order. I don't care. The Phillies lineup's good top to bottom. They showed you that.
Bryson Stott killed the Mariners, and he's a 9-hole hitter.
Yeah, you watched them drop 21 hits on your head 2 days ago. This is a good team. Calling it a soft part of the lineup, sure, yes, it is softer, but it's not a gimme. There's no gimmies in a situation in Citizens Bank Park, let alone against a good Phillies baseball team. And again, it's the double-edged sword of your starter should have gone deeper. The Mariners don't have the best 8 arms in the pen right now. I don't care. You needed to use Gabe Speier and Andres Munoz to cover 3 innings there, full stop, if you wanted to win this baseball game. And they just didn't.
You're not going to win many games when you start at least 2 of the 3 of Donovan Solano, Dylan Moore, and Mitch Garver. You're not going to win many baseball games, plain and simple. Dylan Moore, non-competitive baseball player. Donovan Solano, bad versus lefties this year, but for some reason,
that's the only time he's going to play.
Here, we're going to play him versus lefties. It's like you're trying to force it. He's been fine versus righties. Versus lefties, he's been terrible. I don't understand the thinking in this game. Let Luke Raley start, and he looked terrible versus, a lefty in his 1 at-bat that he got today. Great. Do I trust Luke Raley to be able to drop down a bunt like he has in the past, a perfect bunt, to advance the runner and maybe get himself over to first base? Absolutely. More than I trust Dylan Moore to be able to do literally anything. I trust Luke Raley to drop down a bunt more than I trust Dylan Moore to order me a coffee.
Damn.
Plain and simple. And listen, we're in a bad spot right now. You just finished this road trip 2-7. You got swept by the Phillies. You lost to a pretty bad Orioles team. What?
No. I'm just thinking about myself. Don't worry about it.
Oh, wow. It's very
I think I've said 2-9 several times when talking about it instead of 2-7. Yeah.
That'd be a crazy long road trip.
Yeah.
You lost to a really bad Orioles team.
You've been hot though.
That is true. All of a sudden, you lost a series to a Mets team that has been horrible over the past 2 weeks. And then you get swept by the Phillies. if you could have won at least one of the other series, I'd feel a little bit better. But unfortunately, the Mariners weren't able to do that. So the question has to be asked, Joe, is it time to panic? And I feel like there are a lot of people, and I could tell you just from the streams that I've been doing, people are pissed off. And I don't blame them. They should be. It's unacceptable baseball the Mariners played on this road trip. But I do want to talk about it a little bit when I think about how this team has played since the deadline, right? They were 10-1 coming out of the deadline. Then they then go 2-7. All right, so you're what?
12
12
and
and
8.
8?
Yeah.
Cool. Like, it's so easy to be like, "Oh, this road trip, this is who they are. This is the team." But we weren't thinking that at home when they won 8 games in a row. We
Yeah.
weren't like, "No, that's who they are." Listen, I get that, the Mariners played some pretty easy teams in that homestand, right? You've had the White Sox in there, like whatever. This Mariners team has played about 500 ball versus teams over 500 this year, which is on par with pretty much everybody else in the league that's good. They have 29 wins versus teams over 500. That is one of the highest win totals of the contenders. That is what you have to do. You have to play about 500 ball, keep your head above water versus the good teams, and then beat up on the bad teams. And that's what the Mariners did. And it has culminated to a 12-8 record. A 12-8 record over a full 162, it's a pretty decent record in the end. Like, I struggle to look at this road trip and say, yeah, that's who this team is moving forward. Like, they're going to come home and they're going to look like that. I don't think that's true. And do I think they're going to come home and look like the 9-1 team? No. And as I like to say so much, they'll probably be somewhere right in the middle because that regressing to the mean is a thing. The Mariners have played really well at home, especially recently. You know how good the pitching staff has been at home. The Astros have been terrible. The Astros are actually in a worse spot than we are over the past however many games. They just had a 30-inning scoreless streak. They didn't score for 3 full games. If that happened to the Mariners, people would have pitchforks standing outside of T-Mobile Park.
Not tridents.
Good point. That's a bad miss. Yeah.
Low hanging fruit. I get you. Yeah, if we're looking at silver lining, right? The Astros also sucked this past, stretch of games. Like despite your poorest effort on this road trip, it felt like you did not lose much ground. I think you lost a game because you're 1.5 back. And at points you were tied, you were a half game back, you're 1.5 back, and now you're coming home for a 6-game homestand. Things could be worse. They could be infinitely better. You could be in first place by a fair margin, but of course the same can be said about the Astros. They don't go on a 30-inning, almost a 30-game, 30-inning scoreless streak. Could you imagine 30-game scoreless streak? Holy hell!
I would cancel everything.
Rob Manfred would have to intervene.
Yep.
The Red Sox also played poorly.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, the Yankees, winners of 4 straight, they are now the wild card 1. The Mariners are sitting at the wild card 3. Guardians have, played but the Royals are coming on strong, winners of 5 in a row as well. Like, they're 2 back. You have a 3-game set against the Royals in Kauffman, I think at the beginning of September, maybe in the middle of September, and that can be a pretty pivotal series with how they've looked and how the Mariners have looked over these last 9 games. If you look at it over the last 20 games, and considering that the Mariners have 18 or 19 games left against, at home, the Mariners have been really good at home. 37-25, like a win percentage almost at 600. Or maybe it's over 600. Math. I have it written down literally right here. Hold on.
Excuse me.
Just gonna one more page. Yep, don't mind me.
Yep, nope. Take your time.
The pages are blank. I'm lying to you.
Who gets that reference?
Nobody gets that reference. Mariners have 19 games left. It's a 596 win percentage. Assuming that they could go 12-7 at home is not unrealistic with how that win percentage is kind of how it plays out. I think they could do better than that too with what we saw over a 10-game stretch recently with this new look offense and how well the team pitches at home. Like, there are still things that to be excited about for this team, without a doubt. This is the best 1 through 9 that we've seen in a long time. Unfortunately, it's not always the 1 through 9 that goes out there and plays 9 innings because of some weird matchup ideology that doesn't really actually make sense when you look at statistics. Yeah, the Sean Manaea, Donovan Solano start. He's batting .300 against Manaea this year. How long ago? When were those at bats taken? Like, sure, you can look at track record like that, and it can matter. Like Schwarber versus Castillo, 6 for 20, 4 home runs, the most home runs against Castillo in all of ever. Like, that's the player who's tagged Castillo the most. Were those shared times when they were both in the National League Central when Castillo was pitching for the Reds and Schwarber was playing for the Cubs? Some of it probably was. That's almost a decade old now. If we really want to, I mean, that's a bit of a, like, it's like 7 years, but it's close enough. There are things that we should take into account. Obviously, you can't not look at certain aspects of this team, but like you're saying, this is not the team I'm expecting them to come home and be. But I'm also not expecting them to come home and rattle off 9 of 10 again, just because of what they showed us on this road trip. There has to be some sort of players-only meeting or a closed-door meeting, I would imagine, after a road trip like this. I mean, this is the type of road trip that got Scott Service fired. And not to say that Dan Wilson should be fired. I'm sure there are people that are saying that. I'm sure that it could be anybody in this Discord call, specifically on this podcast right now. But this is the type of road trip that in 4 or 5 years, if Dan Wilson is still at the helm, it's going to get him fired. And if it's his inability to make the right pitching changes or putting out the best 1 through 9 or calling for the right pinch hit opportunity, whatever, there are rippling effects that in 5 years' time, who knows, we're going to remember that time when Dan Wilson and the Mariners in 2025 went 2-9 on a road trip. Doesn't that feel familiar? And you're looking down the barrel of another 2-9 road trip against East Coast opponents in 5 years. Mm-hmm. It's just, there's so much to take into a full 162 that sometimes taking a step back and looking at a 500 record against teams above 500, almost, you're looking at a record of almost a 600 winning percentage at home. There are things that you can still be excited about and also at the same time understand and need to have gripes with. If you are okay with rolling Taylor Saucedo out there in a 1-run game, I ask you politely to explain why it's okay. I don't understand. That is a full situation where you cannot do that. Given the context of if you were 7-1 on that road trip heading into that game, send Saucedo out in the 5th and have him cover innings 5 through 9 for all I care. That is a must-win game with the context of what else happened on that road trip. And yes, other context is important, but winning is the bottom line. Mm-hmm. And is it time to panic? When you only have 4 dependable arms in any given night out of the pen, it might be. Maybe 5 if you want to go there, but 3 truly dependable and then 2 that are and then the other 3, you may as well be rolling dice. And especially if your starting pitchers can't go anything further than 4. And if certain guys at home or on the road offensively are basically anemic. Gino at home this year, with Seattle specifically, has a WRC plus of 5. 5. On the road, he's awesome. And that's the parody of baseball, though. It's there's going to be players that perform better in certain environments, and we all know how home road splits look. But it's just, there's been so many opportunities this road trip where it did not feel like the goal was to win the baseball game. And I don't know. I don't know what Colt Fuchsius has to say about that. But there's got to be some wisdom in there from you.
Yeah, I got some wisdom here for you. Listen, you mentioned it a little bit already. Over their last 10 games, the Astros are 4-6, Mariners are 3-7. As long as you go to Houston within 3 games of the Houston Astros, it's not time to panic because you hold the division in your hands. If you sweep the Astros there, you're in first place. You have the tiebreaker. If you get your butt kicked, well, you're probably not going to be winning the division, buddy. Like the Mariners still hold all the cards in their hands. They face the Astros, they face the Guardians, they face the Royals. Yeah, this road trip sucked, but in the end, it really wasn't that consequential to what happened in the standings of this team. What's so funny?
Nothing. It really wasn't. You said wee wee.
I'm trying to have wisdom here, and you're being a child.
You said wee wee.
There's definitely some other context throughout, what's going on with this team. Dom Canzone, we still don't really know what's going on with him. He got hit in the wrist, took a few days off. Hopefully that thing heals up. But we were really hoping that we were going to be getting Victor Robles back. And now he's suspended for 10 games from what you all have seen at this point of him throwing the bat after getting hit. We do not condone that, by the way. We say bad. Don't do that.
Bats.
Be mad, sure. But don't throw bat. Bad. And he has to serve that 10-game suspension on the major league roster. Which is going to affect this team one way or the other. When he gets called up in September, he's going to have to immediately serve that suspension. And you're playing down a guy. Thankfully, rosters expand, but still, you could be playing with another guy at the major league level, Samad Taylor, for example, in that situation. Somebody that can impact the game, Leo Rivas. Instead, you're going to be able to add a pitcher, but you're not going to be able to add a hitter for at least another 10 games. And at that point, what can you expect out of Victor Robles? Can you expect him to come back in the last 20 games of the season and do anything? I don't know. I don't think that you can look at Victor Robles and say he's going to be the catalyst because he hasn't played all year. So it's tough to look at a guy like that and say he's going to hit the ground running. But you are still going to get him back. The Mariners hold every opportunity in their hands right now. It's just a matter of whether or not this team can pull their heads out long enough to take advantage of that.
I find it interesting the discourse around the Robles thing and how he's gonna appeal it, so it might not be 10 games. It could get reduced to 8 or 9, whether or not that makes a large difference. But the important thing is he also won't be able to go play game. He can't be in any game action for those 8, 9, 10 games. So yeah, he's only gonna be able to practice. He's gonna be able to do BP. He can do hitting machine related things, but game speed stuff that he's been trying to ramp himself back up to, it's just any progress he made likely just goes by the wayside, more than likely. Maybe not entirely, it's not all for naught, but the likelihood that he is as effective as he would be without the 10 games missed as soon as he's able to come back, it's going to affect the team. Now, granted, you're playing a man down. It's felt like that for however many months of the season, right? So it's not unfamiliar territory, I think, given if we're talking about context of the team. But yeah, I don't know. The Robles stuff is just wild. That whole turn of events was just not what I expected to see happen.
Yeah, it's a bummer, but I think that this team, as long as you're not running Dylan Moore out there every day in right field, as long as you're running Luke Raley out there if Dom Canzone's hurt instead of Dylan Moore, awesome. I'm in. Look, bad road trip, but when you look at the FanDuel betting odds, not a lot has changed, and that just goes to show how kind of inconsequential this road trip was. The Mariners are still at plus 105 to win the American League West. No. The Astros are at minus 145. Why are you shaking your head?
Did they update already?
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now.
Oh, wow.
The Astros are at negative 145. Just goes to show how bad those teams have been so far. When you look at the World Series, as of right now, the Mariners are at plus 1100. Gotten a little bit worse in that regard.
Mm-hmm.
Dodgers, Phillies, Brewers, Tigers, Yankees, Blue Jays. all ahead of the Mariners right now. But they
It's
still have a better opportunity than the Astros at plus 1,500.
it's incredible to me how fast odds shift. I put this down an hour ago, and things have already shifted. Like, it was at plus 1,200 for the World Series for the Mariners prior to this.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's like a small shift, but like, that's just funny how quickly things can change. When you said like minus 145 or plus 105, I was like, wait a minute, that's not what I'm looking at right here, because I typed it out as opposed to just being on the actual site. But then I'm curious, Colton, will you scurry on over to the home runs tab and tell me where the MLB leader like odds are at? Because I have Cal at minus 140, sitting at 47 home runs on the year. Is that still accurate?
No. What did you have Kyle Schwarber at?
It was at plus 260, but like I said before we started recording, I assumed that was going to shift more positively for him, and I expected it to be around like maybe like the 180 plus 190 range, since he hit his 45th home run in Wednesday's finale.
So Cal is at minus 110, and Kyle Schwarber is at plus 240.
Oh,
so
not that big of a shift.
They've closed the gap a little bit between the two, but nonetheless, Cal is still favored to lead the league in home runs. I wouldn't be shocked if it ends up being Schwarber, just because he's been so hot recently in terms of hitting the ball out, whereas Cal struggled a little bit. Listen, I don't blame Cal, all right, for wanting to hit the home run that ties Salvador Perez at home. I don't blame him. And I don't blame the Mariners for wanting to win game 69 at home. I don't blame them for wanting to celebrate with their home fans. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's all going to happen, Joe, in this Athletics series. Cal's going to break Salvi's record. The Mariners are going to win their 69th, 70th, and 71st win, because they're going to sweep the Athletics.
I mean, you gotta hope they can capture some of that magic from the previous homestand. Whatever worked before, you need to take that from whatever 10 days ago and you bring it to now. You travel back in time, figure it out, harness it, put in a bottle, bring it to the future, and do that. Maybe some Space Jam level stuff there. It starts with Brian Wu. I mean, again, you said MLB.com doesn't have anything listed. They have an off day. They could reslot. I don't know why they would, because it seems to me that they have the three best. And the other one that you could maybe throw in there isn't going to pitch because he pitched in Wednesday's finale. It's Brian Wu versus Luis Morales listed on Fangraphs. Morales has only pitched like 9 innings this year. He's pitched to a 1.86 ERA. He went 5 innings his last time out. Previous to, I think it was like 2 innings and 2 innings, something like that. But he has a fastball, like I think his average velo is like in the like mid to high 90s at like 96. So he's going to be the hardest thrower you see in this series against the Athletics. Both teams, I mean, Athletics have been playing a little bit better. I mean, they're 5-5. No, that's not true. That was something I was looking at from a previous from July 25th is where I was looking at, because that's the stat split that I have set up for myself over the last month. Over the last month, the Athletics are 13-8. The Mariners are 13 and I guess either 11 or 12. I don't remember if I had already calculated for the loss that was coming today. But we know the tale of the tape is that this Athletics team can hit the baseball. Nick Kurtz, Shea Langoliers, Tyler Soderstrom, Brent Rooker, like all of those guys, specifically the first 3, have WRC pluses of over 150 from July 25th until now. Kurtz, a 233 WRC plus. Langoliers, a 220. The only Mariner in that is Julio Rodriguez at a 159 WRC plus wise. The Athletics play a little bit better on the road, but like it's not a great baseball team. It's just there's pockets of talent that can go nuclear, and we've seen it happen. Last time the Mariners faced the Athletics, they split down in Sacramento, right?
I believe so. Yep, 2-2.
And to start the season in Seattle, they also split 2-2. The Mariners have to win this series. You saying they're sweeping? You have a good chance with Brian Wu. to get the series kicked off on the right foot with a day off. The Athletics don't have a day off. They're playing their Thursday game in Minnesota. They have to travel to Seattle. Like, that bodes well for, I think, just general rest and who you have going out there to start the game with Brian Wu.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that, it's the one right-handed starting pitcher you're going to see in this series. You got to take advantage of that. Brian Wu on the mound is going to give you 6 more than likely, and he's, hopefully going to be. I think that he can handle this lineup. If anybody can handle it, I think it is Brian Wu, just with Langoliers and Nick Kurtz and all those guys. Like, I think that Brian Wu can handle it. Game 2 scares me because on the year, Jeffrey Springs has been really good versus the Mariners. In his last start, 6 innings pitched, he struck out 9 and ended with didn't give up a run. In his first start versus the Mariners, 6 innings pitched, struck out 7, gave up 1 run.
Mm-hmm.
Mariners have faced Springs twice this year, and he's dominated them pretty handily in both games. Not a hard throwing lefty, but a guy that nonetheless has pitched really well versus the Mariners so far this year. Listen. All right. There's a really good chance that we see Dylan Moore in right field in this game.
And what day is that, Colton?
Saturday. Oh, it's the Mariner Mojo meetup day. Oh, God, you're right. Oh, no.
We get to watch Dylan Moore in right field from the steps in the stairwell with other Mariner Mojo, with the Mojovians.
So, friendly reminder, folks, we have the Mariner Mojo meetup coming up on Saturday versus the Athletics. We will be in the stairwell in right center field, kind of where they had how many days it was till Ichiro was going to be inducted to the Hall of Fame. Come up, buy a ticket, come up, hang out with us for as long or as little as you want. We'll have a few giveaways, probably not as much as we had at the first one, just because, well, frankly, we're out of stuff. But yeah, come hang out with us, come say what's up, watch an inning or two of baseball, whatever you want to do. But yeah, we're gonna see Jeffrey Springs probably dominate the Mariners again, let's be honest. But you'll have George on the mound. George, other than his last start, he's been quite good. He's been the guy that you expected him to be. George back home, furious. We might get a little furious George in this one because he's pissed at how his last start went. I feel okay about as okay with this game because, frankly, you didn't have Gino. You didn't have Naylor before versus Jeffrey Springs. Those two guys hopefully make all the difference in this one.
George in his last 2 starts at home. Yes, the White Sox and the Rangers. Rangers a bit more formidable of an opponent, but against the White Sox, 6 innings, 5 hits, 2 earned. Against the Rangers, 6 innings, 3 hits, no earned. So, last couple starts at home, pretty good for George. If you go in, a step further back, it's against Milwaukee. Buzzsaw Milwaukee. We don't need to talk about it. 6 innings, 5 hits, 4 earned. But the start before that, it was against Pittsburgh. 6 1/3, 4 hits, no earned, 9 punchies. Springs' best pitch is his slider, and that's going to continue with the Athletics starter as well on Sunday. Both soft-throwing lefties, best pitch is their slider. Mariners batters, run value against sliders so far this year, the best batter against sliders is Eugenio Suarez. A batting run value of 6 against sliders. You calling out that they did not have Gino the last time that, when they faced Springs, both times. If Gino does damage, yes, he's been pretty poor at home, admittedly. At home in Seattle. It's weird when they change teams. He's been able to do damage against sliders. Cal has a batting run value of 3. Jorge Polanco, 3. Dylan Moore, 1. JP, 0. Julio, 0. There's not a lot of, a ton of damage, but if you get good production out of Gino, out of Cal, out of Polo, those are 3 bats in the heart of your order that can do damage. You mentioned Naylor, -5 against sliders, especially against a lefty slider, probably going to be -20. But I could be wrong. I think didn't he take Springs deep, or was it Sears that he took deep in Sacramento?
That's a good question. It was one of them.
I think it was
been Sears.
I think it was Sears.
Yeah, it had to have been Sears because Springs didn't give up a run in that start.
True. Good point. But I did mention that it's another lefty in the finale on Sunday, opposite Logan Gilbert, who he's been insane at home. So you better hope he at home shows up. We need Walter at home to show up. But Jacob Lopez, dog's been nasty. Since July 25th, he's made 5 starts, 30 innings. He's got a .6 ERA. He has been dynamite his last couple times out. Not super great on the year, but like you look at recency, what he's done recently. What have you done for me recently? Jacob Lopez has done nothing but shut teams out. And similar to Jeffrey Springs, his best pitch is his slider. He's got a pitching run value of 6 on that on the year. Another soft throwing lefty, throws low 90s. Like, it's the Mariners' kryptonite. Crafty lefties with a good slider. You just have to hope that Gino tags him for a big 3-run bomb early in this game, or Cal gets on the board and, like you're saying, ties and or breaks Salvi Perez's record at home. Because that's going to be the key, is this offense can go at home. They're still capable of doing damage at home. And they've shown that. And they've shown their ability to win at home. With how poor the road trip is, I'm not saying, like, it's hard to demand a sweep, like calling a series needs to be a sweep. This might be one of those situations where, like, you have to course correct so hard. Like, turn right now. Like, you have to do that kind of stuff. And this is a series exactly made up for that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is a series where, as well, if the Mariners are able to get into the Athletics bullpen, they don't have Mason Miller anymore. You know what I mean? Like, their bullpen is definitely not as formidable as it once was. So if you're able to work some of these guys' pitch counts, maybe get to some more favorable matchups, which we know how the Mariners love to play matchups. Basically, what I mean by favorable matchups is get Dylan Moore out of the game and have them throw a right-handed pitcher. But yeah, I think that that's something that they will have to do in this one, because frankly, the problem in the Phillies series was, like, against Christopher Sanchez, you saw a lot of guys swinging first pitch because they knew that if they got to 2 strikes, he's striking them out because he's just that nasty. I feel like the same thing can be said in this series versus Springs and Lopez. And I think that if the Mariners are able to, work some counts against these guys, then great. But if not, if you're attacking early and not letting Springs get to that nasty slider, attack him before he gets to that put away pitch, then that is what this team is going to have to do to be able to score some runs in this series. And again, the Mariners pitching staff has been really good at home. So how quickly things can change, right? 9-1 to 7-2 to now what? 6-0?
Maybe.
5-1?
Some are saying.
Some are saying. I'm saying it. Colt Fuchsia's say. So yeah, I don't know. I feel all right about this homestand right now, but coming off of the road trip we just watched, I didn't think that's something I'd be saying.
You made a very good point about the Athletics bullpen. Obviously, you don't have as much firepower back there. On the season, they have the 3rd worst bullpen ERA in all of baseball at 5. 5 flat coming out of the bullpen. The Mariners have a 3.74, 8th in all of baseball. Something to consider there. That's actually probably not true because I don't have it updated to live stats full season today. It's probably like 3.9, if I had to guess. 3.87 after today. But over the last month or so, the 2 best relievers out of the Athletics bullpen have been Sean Newcomb.
He's a lefty.
He is a lefty. And then Justin Sterner. The Athletics have 2 lefties in their, or sorry, they have 3 lefties. Sean Newcomb, Hogan Harris, and then Ben Bowden or Bowden. But we've seen Sterner before, I believe, and we saw Newcomb against the Red Sox earlier this year. Batting average against over the last month or so, Newcomb a 190 batting average, Sterner a 196 batting average. Sterner's slugging a little bit higher, 391 slugging against. Newcomb's a 214 slugging against. Both have pitched in like a fair amount of games. Like, yes, for a reliever, it's like kind of hard to justify, but like Newcomb's pitched 12 2/3 over that time, Sterner 13 1/3. There are still arms that you don't want to have to face late in a game against the Athletics, but there are definitely opportunities, like you're saying, to take advantage of getting the starter out and doing damage to the bullpen. And that's always been a key for the Mariners. I mean, we saw it in this Phillies series. The damage that they did was to the bullpen. Maybe not like the highest quality of arms, but like still. And that's been something that they've been able to do consistently. in big moments. Cal, 3-run bomb off of Griffin Jacks in the Rays series. Like, just there are. I mean, getting to Helsley and Rogers against the Mets. They have the capacity to do so. There's not a big scary name in this Athletics bullpen, but there's still names that can shut you down. Don't allow them the opportunity to come in where they have a lead. You need to get the starter out early and do damage to those mid-leverage relievers so they don't have the opportunity to mow you down towards the end of the game.
It's a really important homestand. You have this series versus the Athletics, and then you have the Vetter Cup, man. You just got to win one. You got the Vetter Cup. You got the Vetter Cup if you win one. What happens if they tie? What happens?
I don't actually know. Run differential?
Probably. I think they talked about it. I don't know. I don't care. Nonetheless, a very important 6-game homestand for the Mariners. They need to take advantage of what's in front of them coming off of a really bad road trip and hopefully put a lot of our qualms at ease. But that's going to do it from us here on episode 218 of the Hit It Here podcast presented by FanDuel, and go Mariners.